Hi friends, the story I'm going to read today is called In the Small, Small Night. And this is by Jane Kurtz, illustrated by Rachel Isadora. And they're beautiful illustrations. In the Small, Small Night. In the small, small night. In the middle of the night, when the stars are walking, Abina opens her eyes to find a lump beside her in her strange new bed. She pats the lump, but it doesn't go away. She pokes the lump, but it doesn't move. She pinches the lump and it says, "Wah! What are you doing in this bed?" Abina asks. Kofi sticks his head out from the covers. "My bed is too cold." "Your bed is not too cold. Mama gave you hundreds of blankets." "What if there's a giant Pam lizard under the blankets?" Kofi asks. "What if it smacks me with his smashing, thrashing tail?" "Don't worry," Abina says. "We left the Pams behind in Ghana." "I can't sleep," Kofi says. "What if we forget grandmother and our cousins now that we live in America?" Abina pats his head. "Don't worry. I'll help us remember." She reaches for her new flashlight and turns it on. "Pretend this is the moon and close your eyes." Abina closes her own eyes. In her mind, she can see the huge moon hanging over her old home. An insect whistles, fireflies flicker on, off, and fried fish and nutmeg spice the air. Now she hears the storyteller's voice ringing through the village. "Anansi is a cheat!" The cousins dance out of their round houses and run toward the fire, calling, "Come and say what you know! Anansi is a cheat, so come and say what you know!" "Once upon a time," Abina says. "Time," Kofi whispers. "The world was a small place, and all the people lived in one village. Anansi lived in that village too." Anansi was very tricky. He was sure he was the wisest person on the whole earth. But sometimes in the small, small night, he stayed awake, like you, and worried. He worried about who else was lying awake and thinking up tricky things to do. He didn't want anyone to be wiser than he was. Finally, one morning, Anansi got a large clay pot. Then he went around to the people and animals, anything that could think, collecting all the wisdom in the world and putting it in his pot. He went to the elephant with his flapping ears. He went to the lion, king of the forest. He went to the rabbit who hears better than anyone. Everywhere he collected wisdom and put it in his pot. Finally, he knew he had had it all. "Now," he said, "I'm going to hang this pot on the tallest tree." He called to his little boy, Takuma, to follow him. Anansi started climbing, but the pot kept getting in his way. He was struggling to go up, struggling to go up, struggling to go up. "Father," Takuma called. "What?" "Listen with your ears open." Anansi was angry. "I'm trying to take care of all the wisdom in the world, so no one else will have any," he called down. "Don't bother me." He struggled to go up, but the pot kept getting in his way, getting in the way. "Father," Takuma called. "Don't bother me now," Anansi called. "I have to do this hard work." "But Father," he called a third time, "if you put the pot behind you, you can climb more easily." Anansi swished the pot to his back. Now he could climb up that tree so fast. Suddenly he gave a tremendous shout. "What? I thought I put all the wisdom in the pot. But my little son just said a wise thing. Anansi was very, very angry. He hurled the pot out over the treetops. Down it tumbled until it crashed into the ground and broke. Wisdom flew out everywhere. Abina hugs Kofi. This story I told, if it's nice or if it's not nice, I carry the story to the next teller. Are you asleep yet? No, Kofi says. Do you think Anansi is awake right now, trying to think of tricky things to do to other people who are awake? Don't worry, Abina says. If he is, we're ready. I'm very tricky myself. Tell me another story, Kofi says. Once upon a time, Abina says. Time, Kofi says. The eagle, king of the birds, spent his days floating high above forests and villages, tasting the wind. The turtle walked along muddy paths far below the eagle. Hand come, the turtle would whisper as she moved her right leg. Hand go, the turtle would whisper as she moved her left leg. Hand come, hand go. The eagle and the turtle were friends, but the vulture would giggle and shriek to see them talking together. What a friendship, he would say. It will never last. One day, the eagle's mother died. Eagle sent messages that his friends should come and mourn with him for a week or two. All the birds started to pack, from the little sparrow to the owl who sees everything. The vulture looked down from his packing to see Turtle coming down the path, muttering, hand come, hand go, hand come, hand go. How will you get to your best friend's mother's funeral? The vulture asked. He began to shriek and giggle. The turtle never stopped walking. All the birds went back to their packing, but the turtle crawled behind a rock and watched. The sparrow flitted back and forth, picking up little things. The owl kept stopping to look at everything. The parrot strutted around, remembering the golden parrots on the scepters of Ashanti chiefs. When the vulture was busy trying to strut like a parrot, the turtle walked over and climbed inside the vulture's bag. Soon the birds flew to the tall wawa tree with its large, wide branches where the mourning would be held. When they got there, food was all spread out and there was mourning, eating, drinking, whatever. Eagle moved sadly among his guests. So he said, "Where's my best friend, the turtle?" The vulture began to laugh. "Your best friend is too slow. She will not even make it to mourn at her own mother's funeral." He laughed so hard he flipped onto his back with his feet waving in the air. Turtle pushed her way out of Vulture's bag. Hand come, hand go. Hand come, hand go. And there she was. Abina carries Kofi to his own bed, and as she walks, she sings, "When you think you are laughing at somebody else, that somebody turns out to be yourself. Yourself. That somebody turns out to be you." She pulls up the covers around Kofi. For a moment, the room is quiet, except for some cars honking far away. Kofi looks around. "Are you sure a man-pam didn't crawl into my suitcase? Or a rock python? Or a slender-snouted crocodile?" "Don't worry," Abina says. "I'm sure." Kofi sighs. "You're not afraid of anything." "Oh, yes, I am," Abina says sadly. "I'm afraid people in my new school will laugh at me and say that I talk funny." Kofi pats her head. "Don't worry. Listen with your ears open. he says. If they laugh even one little giggle, remember, hand come, hand go. Abina laughs. All right, little wise one. Abina, Kofi says, do you think our family will stay here forever? I don't know, Abina says. I know wherever we go, we'll go together. Will you be my sister no matter where we live? Kofi asks. I will be your sister, Abina says, whether we live in Ghana or in America or in tricky Anansi's village or at the top of a wawa tree. Now, go to sleep. Abina stares out the window at the small, small night. These stars will keep walking all the way across the sky until her grandmother and cousins halfway across the world will look up and see them too. She closes her eyes, hugs her new flashlight, and goes back to sleep. The end. I hope you enjoyed that story, my friends.